This is Entrepreneurs Get Visible, the podcast for people who want more impact, influence, and income. I'm Anna Parker-Naples, and I'll be sharing with you proven methods from leading entrepreneurs that help you get visible as an authority in your field. Because anything's possible when you get visible. In this episode, we're talking all about how to make the most of other people's Facebook groups to grow your own network. So first of all, you need to step back a little bit and go back to, yes, you guessed it, that ideal client avatar. Who is it that you want to see? Who is it you want to meet? And who is it that you want to recognize the value that you give? Who do you want to see that you are the expert in which field? In fact, I did an episode all about getting to grips with your ideal client avatar in episode 6. So if you haven't done that, after this episode, go straight back to episode 6 and have a listen. Once you understand who it is you want to get in front of and why you can give them the results you can, what you want to do then is think about those keywords that they might be looking for. What group, what names, what words would they be putting into a Facebook search in order to find the group and the community that they want to be a part of? Which is why when you create your own Facebook group, which I've done an episode on previously as well, it's really important that you have a crystal clear, searchable word within the name of your Facebook group. So what would they be looking for? Now, if you are an entrepreneur and you are in business, then you guessed it. You are going to have to search those terms and you will find so many. Now, it might be that you want to get in front of some of those massive groups, some with, even 30,000 people and higher. It might be actually that it's worth going with some that have maybe even just 200 people, but that the group is engaged. So what I would do at this stage, I would consider joining at least 8 groups in your ideal niche, and I would keep a record of which ones you have joined and become a fly on the wall. Do your research. There are going to be rules and regulations if this group is run by a savvy entrepreneur or leader. So you want to make sure that you have a firm understanding of the rules and regulations in that particular group. You want to make sure that you know when they have a promo day, the day you are allowed potentially, if they have one, to share your links. You want to make sure you fully understand if you're allowed to share links and URLs in the comments. Some groups allow that and some don't. You want to understand whether you are allowed to promote at all your products and services. And if you can't, then you have to look at ways that you can get round sharing your value and your expertise without self-promotion. You want to really just be that fly on the wall, watching what happens in the group. I think it's really useful, particularly when you go into groups, to get an idea of the pattern of their weeks. Do they have a particular post that goes out every Monday, that goes out every Friday? You want to know the shape of that group and how you can be seen to be active in there. So how do you do that in groups where you are not allowed to self-promote or you're not allowed to add your links? Well, I would say here that it's about being active. It is about being social. Shock horror on a social media platform. It's about going in and seeing what problems people have, what questions they ask, what things they are sharing, perhaps their wins that they're sharing, and be people's cheerleader, as well as being someone who can answer their questions clearly and concisely. Now, it might be at this point that you offer to send them some information. Maybe you have a video, maybe you have a quick audio that you've done that shares your value. That isn't driving them particularly to a lead magnet, but is definitely positioning you as someone who knows what they're talking about. You can even add videos into the comments potentially. So it is worth building up a stock of answers, your answers on video to common questions that your ideal client are struggling with. And I would make sure that those videos are titled really well. They might be lives that you've done on your Facebook page, or they might be something that you have uploaded onto YouTube. But I would be thinking about what standard answers can I give to someone's problem. But you want to make sure that each comment that you give is personalised, if that makes sense. So create a bank of content that is going to be useful to you to share your value. I think it's about coming on to those comments as a genuine human being, actually being real. This is a part of my work that I don't outsource. If I'm in a group, it's me being there, actually showing up, actually integrating and building that rapport. And what you'll find is that when you show up and people get familiar with your name, they do come over to your profile. They do then reach your page. They do then want to find out if they can reach your group because you have been consistently active in sharing value and become a valued member of that group. Groups are amazing for building goodwill and referrals and recommendations. So if you're not being strategic about your time on social media, I absolutely urge you to start spending 15, 20 or even 30 minutes per day going in, even on your laptop, rather than just scrolling on your phone because you'll be quicker at typing, and strategically going into groups that are relevant. And as I said, I would start with 8. I would see which ones you like, which ones you're getting response from, which ones have a good feel about them. Do they have the ideal client that you'd hoped and expected to have in there? And how can you make sure that you are present in that group? Now, new groups, particularly in business and entrepreneurship, are cropping up all the time. So I would say it's worth every couple of weeks going in and seeing if there are new groups that are popping up for you. Facebook often shows up recommendations as well. Which of those speak to you? These don't always have to be massive groups. You can actually make that ripple effect and be seen in a much smaller group as well. The key thing really is to find a group that is active, that does have people commenting, even if it is mostly the owner of that group who's posting. That doesn't make it a group that isn't worth being active in, because people read the comments. People do, even if they are silent watchers. And I think that's the thing to remember. It's not always just the people who comment or reply. There are many, many silent people who are busy, but they are in there spending their time, having their downtime scrolling through Facebook. And it's them just as much as the people that you are in conversation with in comments on posts that are important as your ideal client, because they will go and find out about you as well. So you want to consciously make sure that you are following the rules, you are giving value, that you are not treading on the owner's toes. And if you're ever in doubt, then I think it's worth sending them a quick message to say, I'd like to share this, but I don't know your rules, or tagging them in and saying, I hope that this is okay. If in doubt, it probably isn't okay. If you do suspect that you're selling on a post, then I would say err on the side of caution. But there are lots of groups, and particularly even paid community groups on Facebook, where it is encouraged to share your wins. Now, of course, we're sharing those because it is promotional. We are in business. We want to show ourselves off. And personally, I don't see anything wrong with that. In fact, I think there's a lot right with blowing your own trumpet, as long as you are abiding by someone else's group dynamic and rules. So I think then the key points are, you want to make sure, in order to make other people's Facebook groups work for you, that you are in the right groups with the right people. And they might not actually be the groups where you feel most comfortable. So you might have to push yourself outside your comfort zone here. Keep a record of 8 that you've chosen and work out over a period of time which ones work for you, which ones you like and which you don't. Make sure, if you're allowed, that you do an intro post telling people about who you are, why you're excited to be there, what your business is all about, how you help people and why. Not necessarily taking them to a URL or taking them away from the group. Make sure you annotate somewhere. I keep a spreadsheet of this about the rules in a particular group. You know their promo post days. Go and be a fly on the wall. Watch the activity. Watch what's happening. Watch who are the key players within that group. Make sure that when you're commenting on people's problems, questions, that you are driving value-driven answers. And I would actually then, as I said, start to have some stock answers that you can personalise as you need to go. And I would also be putting together a bank of video content, perhaps Facebook Lives that you've done, perhaps podcast episodes that you've done, and sharing the links to those in the comments. Make sure that you don't get blocked by the admin. You don't want to do that. You don't want to tread on someone. Believe me, as a Facebook group owner, I know the people who are semi-regular offenders in my group. Offenders is a very strong word, but I've set very clear guidelines, and I know the people who just push the mark a little bit. So you want to make sure that you aren't doing that. You aren't being remembered for the wrong reasons. And the final 2 things then is be genuinely interested, be a social person. And I think one of the main things as a Facebook group owner myself is that I don't mind people sharing their pages, but I am not keen on them driving them to their own group. So be aware of that, be considerate, be courteous. You don't have to be in that group. Don't get involved in the inflammatory conversations. It's not ever going to be worth it for you. People do remember what happens in Facebook groups. You want to be making sure you are the person known, giving value, giving your expertise, and not getting involved in the drama. But go out, find those amazing Facebook groups and mine them. They are just such a valuable tool for growing your business and growing your own audience. Thank you for listening to Entrepreneurs Get Visible. To get your free checklist on how to raise your profile and to find out about our community, go to annaparkernaples.co.uk/get visible.